Blitzers, it's Ronan. Welcome back to the channel. Something came in the store that was interesting, the Object 260 Pike. I looked at it closely, argued about it with the clan. The 260 Pike is an interesting tank, and it's worth noting that it's not a bad tank at all. However, I'm not going to buy it. You can look up in my stats. I got 100,000 gold, and I'm not going to spend 20,000 or 25,000 on it. I'll run through the tank, but I think looking at through this is simple. This tank is a okay, kind of like an IS-8, to be honest. I'm not sure it's better than the IS-8. It's got a decent turret, not great turret, to be honest, and then no real other good armor. It's got high DPM, nearly 3,000 DPM, and it's got a good cannon for a Russian heavy. So why am I not buying it? Well, I'm not buying it because it doesn't serve a purpose. And I think there are better tanks that you can have, and I own them. And I want to show them, I want to show you why I'm not buying it. So if you want to compare this tank to others in the class, the best comparator, and really the point of this video is actually about the WZ-113, the Chinese Tier 10 Heavy. I got two replays by Gent that you have to watch, and if you don't know the 113, start getting some credits and start working up that line. It's a lot better. Look at the DPM difference if you're not convinced. It's got nearly 15% higher DPM, or nearly 500 DPM higher, and they both should shoot heat. The 113 has better pen, again higher DPM on the heat, and higher DPM on the high explosive. The 113 also has better armor, so it doesn't really matter what the 260 has to offer there. And then the other tanks that you can compare to, which I also have, is the WZ-111 5A, which is a premium tank. The 5A's got much better armor, and it basically serves the same purpose as the 260. And if you're thinking the 260 is a heavy medium, there are two or three other choices that I prefer. First of all, the Chieftain MK6, great Tier 10 premium. The T95E6, another Tier 10 heavy. When you can see that those tanks have very, very good cannons that are better, DPM that's higher. They both have turrets that are equally good or better in the case of the Chieftain. And finally, if you want to really talk about a heavy M, how about the E50M, which crushes this thing in just about every single category? Look at the cannon and aim time differences with the E50M. So I just don't see this thing serving a purpose. Its mobility is fine. It's 47 going forward, 20 reverse. 20 reverse actually quite nice. But again, if you compare that to the E50M, that's a joke. The power to weight is good, but it's nothing special. It's not that much better. The effective power to weight is actually lower or higher on the WZ-113. And again, in terms of HP, it's got 2,400. That's a nice advantage over the E50M, but as you can see with the other three or four in there, it's really not a massive advantage. Comparing the win rates, it's actually only has 716 players. So if you want an easy tank to master, I think that you can make an argument that this tank is okay. Let me take a quick look here back. Yeah, I'm going to skip the armor. I promise you, the armor is not great. If you want to look at the armor, just go to Blitzstars or something. Now, let's talk about the 113. That's the tank I really want to talk about. I think it's probably, and Jen said it to me the other day and made me think, it's probably the most underutilized, amazing tank in the game. This tank is just got it all. You've got good dispersion, 0.321, that's good enough for a heavy, 3.5 second aim time, 3396 per minute. I do calibrate it. That's kind of an optional thing. You could definitely use the rammer, or actually that is using the rammer, I lied. Look at the pen, 255 for the AP, 335 for heat, 68 for HE, up is 618, and the down is 6. And if you want to look at anything else, I would say, you know, the concealment's nothing special. The armor is good. It's got a good turret. It's good enough. The hull, it will get you some bounces. The sides actually are 125, which is a decent side armor. So it means you can angle to get some bounces. The rear armor is bad, so you don't want to show your butt to too many players. So let's see what Gent can do with this thing, because that's ultimately, you want to see, you're thinking to yourself, I've played it, you have it, whatever. This tank in the right hand is just bottom line fugly. So Gent is in Fort Despair, goes to the medium side. I think that one of the advantages to the tank, and I'll talk about the disadvantages too, is it is probably the most insane heavy in the game. Look at that snapshot into the Vickers CR. Gent's got two on him here, basically alone. Got a TP behind him. I don't know if that'll come into play. Gent does take a hit, and I think if you see that one, you can see that the upper plate on this tank will bounce, but it will pen. It'll get pen too. And so you can't reliably count on any part of this tank bouncing other than the turret. And I don't. However, what I think you're going to find out when you play it is that it'll bounce more than you expect. This is an offensive weapon. It's not a defensive weapon. It's not a tank that you're like an IS-7 or something where you're trying to get bounces and the occasional, pen. This tank you're expecting to be penned. There's a IS-4, recently ruined by Wargaming, by the way. So Gent's working this corner very well. They can't touch his turret. There's a 268, which may be able to get into the turret cheeks. The cheeks on the 113 are not as strong as like it's not the IS-7 turret or anything. It can get penned to the right, against a whole rear or 268. Gent gets another nice shot there. Does get hit by the Batchat. Looks like by heat from the Batchat. And that's exactly the point. The Batchat pens him once and doesn't pen the second time or the third time. So, if a Batchat's shooting me, I don't mind taking one hit because I'll trade one hit of a Batchat any day of the week versus, now he's got a 20-second load. Gent's not really chasing the Batchat. He's trying to get shots into the other tanks. It's 7-on-5 right now, looking really, really good. They got the only base cap. Gent gets a nice shot there. Let's see if this Batchat gets one shot into Gent there. And right here, Gent is in a little bit of trouble here. His driver's dead. Now he gets a high explosive, I think that was high explosive, into the Batchat. And the Batchat just decides to get the hell out of there. He's realizing he's going to lose every bit of hit power he has against Gent, and Gent catches him on fire. I think that Batchat could have stayed and actually killed Gent, but what I didn't realize was happening when I watched this was the Foch coming up to help. Foch finally moved up. The guy was sitting in the back too far, and that Batchat correctly got the hell out of there. It's now a 5-on-4. This still looks like a very hit game. Gent has a dead driver he cannot repair, by the way. And he's trying to help this M5 or M6, I couldn't tell there, from that T-22, but his dead driver means he cannot go in the middle there. He'll get fucked. Look at this. Look at the pen on this tank. Look at that. That was a turret shot using heat. That's what this tank can do. It's a fucking awesome tank. The biggest problem with the tank, Gent will probably see it in the next replay, I think, is it doesn't turn well. It has really good speed, as we talked about before. It just doesn't turn. Oh, that's a beautiful shot right there into the turret. Now, what just happened there is Gent's team is just doing a really good job at dying. E50M's about to go. This Foch is an idiot. And the points are good. 635. I think Gent correctly realizes this Foch is going to die. And trash OP. Okay. I don't think it's OP. No tank in tier 10 is overpowered. I mean, truly. And so Gent is now still with the dead driver. There it goes. Oh, repair that driver. There we go. So now Gent's there. Meanwhile, this fucking moron in the Foch dies. And honestly, this Batchat could have won this game. Just go flip the caps right now. But instead, he's trying to kill Gent. Gent still has 911 HP, so he did lose a bunch of HP early, but he's kept his HP there. And now he's realizing I got a huge point lead. He's got more HP than the two other combined. There's no real reason here to push them. And he can do it while capping B. Now, I think this Batchat maybe thought he could cap A. I don't know, but he then realized, oh shit, it's at 855. I don't know what this guy was thinking. Meanwhile, the IS-4 pops out, does get a shot into Gent, and then gets killed. So that almost seals the deal. But watch this shot. There's that pesky double win, as they say. So you see what this 113 can do. I mean, it's just a vicious tank. It's got a DPM of a medium, for God's sakes, and it's got armor like a heavy. I think it's incredibly effective. 1770 base. Yowza! Let's see, Mr. Batchat. He was a good player. All right, let's see. If you haven't had enough, let's go to Dead Rail. Gents, I must have been spamming this thing a little bit. And Dead Rail is a tough map for a heavy. I actually think it's a tricky map unless you have a TD or a super heavy. I find this map to be awkward because it's very dependent on what the enemy does. The positioning is tricky. And Gent, I think, plays this literally as well as can be played the way this tank. So this tank last time, really Gent, in my opinion, used it like a medium. Pushed the A-cap there in for despair. This time he's playing it much more like a traditional Russian heavy. He's using the turret to get bounces. You've only got 6 degrees of gun depression, but you can make those work if you want to angle the tank. Gets a shot into the hatch of the Mauschen. He's working really hard on that Kronwagen, although it's a very hard shots to make. You can't pen the top of the Kronwagen. This is where the DPM also is in a factor. Most tanks, you've got to get the hell out of there because the Kronwagens get 3 shots into you. The Kronwagen's reload's not that fast. Gent's reload is actually just as fast as the clip reload of the Kron. And watch him get that hatch shot there. You're shooting every 6 seconds with a heavy here that does 420 alpha. I mean, it's actually ridiculous to play when you when you get this thing positioned well, you're just shooting. And the gun is accurate enough to be able to get a lot of shots in where you would have absolutely no chance with an IS-4 or an IS-7. And so I think that that's the big difference. I think before they destroyed the IS-4, I didn't play this tank because of the IS-4. I love the armor on the IS-4. The speed was similar. The cannon was similar. Now the IS-4's gun is shit, and the speed is trash. You can't rotate the fucking turret. Can't, you know, and so I think it's just this tank's day, honestly. I'm surprised it's not used more. It's not used more in tournaments because I think the armor is just not good enough for a brawl. And that's probably my assumption there. Gent is right now, it's 5-on-5. Gent's already had 2,000 damage. This game's kind of still unfolding. They have C-capped, B-cap. B is B-capped, although is not. And Gent now gets a chance to work the corner here. He does have that pesky, sorry, what is that thing over there? Zooming in there. That M5 that's kind of in a position there. He does, that Kron is doing a good job, honestly. That was a shot from the TD, and then Gent pumps the Jag. I mean, Gent is taking on the entire team. His team's got a heavy behind him, who's in a Conqueror doing nothing, that looks like. And the Maushan's there. Now we've got, okay, it's 4-on-4. Nice shot by Gent into the M5, I believe. The Super Conk is back down over there, and he's kind of backed off that spot. I think the one advantage that Gent has of 4 tanks being in that area behind him is they are getting shots into those guys who are trying to cross. It would flank him and put him in a kind of a difficult position. Catches him on fire. Look at the damage on that. Oh my god, it's still burning. Still burning. That's the trademark of a nub who bought a tier 10, who should not have. There's a big ass right there. Let's see if Gent can nail the high explosive. He can't. The turret rotation speed on this tank is okay, but it's not great. And that's something you got to keep an eye on. Anyway, so he's gone. This stupid Jag Tiger pushes up to a spot that is only good for a tank with a turret, and he's going to pay the price. It's 4-on-3, by the way. The point lead looks good. I think, you know, Gent could have probably just softened this up. I think he just realized he's still got 1,169 HP. He's a nearly 5k damage. Why not push and kill this other team? And I think if I were Gent, I also realized your teammates are fucking idiots. Gets a shot into the Maushan, bounces a shot from the Jag. He's already bounced 2170, so those of you out there who complain about this tank's armor, you're full of shit. It does bounce shots. It bounces a shot there. You get shot there. That's what I would say with this thing. You're going to get shot. I'd say you're going to bounce, I don't know, 30 to 50% of your shots, depending on the players you have. Gent gets aggressive here. I think he knew that the M5 had just shot, so he could take him on. M5's got a very, very long reload. He can get 3 shots into the M5. He's also had a Conqueror flanking. And there it is, 7,180 damage. I mean, whew, damn. So, you see the 113. I know I started the video, 1,900 base XP. Holy shit. Great job, Gent. Great games. You see the 113, you know, you've got the gold, you want the tank, buy it. I don't give a shit. If you don't have a tank like it, you know, I think it's worth, you know, they do give you all the stuff. It's got the Pike camo, which I actually don't like at all. You know, I think it's not the worst deal in the world. You get some other shit, you know, you get 5 mystery boxes and whatever, but not for me. I'm going to save my gold for something a little juicier than that. Thanks for watching the video, everyone. Have a great day.